Chelsea, October 1st, you make your UFC debut. Your original opponent was Leah Letson. She was pulled, and they gave you Julija Stoliarenko. Completely different styles, right? How was it switching things up since you had some pretty decent amount of time to prepare for her?
Yeah, basically I got two different camps for two different people. The first camp for Leah Letson was about 8 weeks, and then this girl I got about 7 or 8 week notice. So I've been preparing for her for about 8 weeks. So yeah, it was a big difference in opponent. With Leah Letson, I had really planned on standing with her, but with this Julija girl, I know it's going to go to the ground. You know, I'm not afraid for it to go to the ground. I might even take it to the ground. Mm-hmm. So it was just a lot more jiu-jitsu based camp than stand up. But I still box every day. I just had to do a lot of emphasis on jiu-jitsu.
Are your camps usually that long? Like it seems like 15 weeks or 16 weeks.
Yeah, they gave me a big amount of time, which kind of sucked. You know, it's like you get nerves, and then it's just like this prolonged thing. It was basically because I was coming down from featherweight to bantamweight, which has been really hard. I feel like every time I cut down to bantamweight, it takes a piece of me, or affects my hormones and stuff like that. So I needed some time to safely get down to the bantamweight limit, which it's still hard. It's still really hard. And then this fight's going to be at 140 because I dieted the whole time and my weight just wasn't going down. So we came to an agreement at 140.
Yeah, I saw in another interview you talked about the issues with the thyroid. How much has that been a burden on you to deal with?
Well, it was a big burden. After my fights, I would put on weight, and I had pretty good cuts. I mean, I'm cutting 10, 15 pounds every time, sometimes more. And you don't realize the toll that it takes on your body until after. So my thyroid, I wasn't getting the weight off, and I was working out every day, like 2-3 times a day, and we just couldn't figure it out. And then I went to the Performance Institute. They did some blood tests, and they say, hey, your thyroid is not up to par. So I started medication about maybe 7 weeks ago, kind of around the time when I got the call for Julija. So I started them, and it's helped a lot. It's just, this is something that takes more time. It's not something that's like immediate. And I thought I was going to have a little bit more faster results, but it's taking more time.
Yeah, I talked to Leah Letson ahead of her last fight when she was returning from a long layoff, and she talked about pretty much the same thing. She had some issues with her weight, and the PI or her doctors figured it out, and it was easy for her after that. So hopefully it becomes easier for you, you know what I mean? Because it seems like the UFC is not, privy on keeping a 45 division around.
I know. I mean, I really wish they would. There's a lot of fun fights at that weight class. I mean, they just signed they just signed her at 45, but you wonder, what are the motives? Are they signing her because they want her to go to 35? But then they got Norma Dumont, who's fighting every couple months at 45. And then they got the boxer chick who had her basic pro debut. So, I mean, there's fights. And I'd like to fight more often than not. Like this 4-month camp is all, it's cool and all, but like, I would have rather had at least a fight or two by now. Yeah. So switching it up and going from 35 to 45 would be nice. I could fight more often instead of having these drastic weight cuts that I have to, recover from.
I want to go back to your last fight against Courtney King. It was a great fight. The first round you were very dominant. The second round you had some adversity, and then third round you came back and was dominant again. Was that like the perfect fight to lead into your UFC debut?
That fight, the second round, I slipped. So I hit her with a hard right hook. I hit her with a hook, and I could see her face and her eyes were, they were just doing like something like this. So I knew I hurt her, and I kind of rushed in and basically slipped. And then that whole thing happened. And that's, I think, why the judges gave her that round. But, I thought I was also pretty dominant that round too. But, that probably, I feel like that wasn't my best performance. Because, I came back from a long layoff. I had a knee injury. I feel like I'm going to be completely different this fight. And it's just going to be night and day difference.
Yeah, watching the fight, I didn't think you slipped. It looked like you rushed in, and I
No,
don't know. It was weird. It
my
was.
leg slipped out from underneath me. That canvas is really
Yeah.
slippery.
But yeah, going back to the rest of the fight, even the second round, after that, you were dominant. I mean, that was just a little like tweak. But yeah, first round, second round, you had her on her back for I don't even know how long. Like the mat time, the control time was pretty insane. Now for yourself in this camp, it seems like you have a pretty hectic schedule. You're in all different locations. You're actually driving to probably practice right now.
Yeah, no, yeah, I've been driving a lot. I've been doing a lot of my training. I've been doing my strength and conditioning up at Game Fit and SAC. He works with Aspen, Max Payne, Griffin, Anthony Fluffy, and all them. I added
Mhm.
him this camp, so I know my gas tank is going to be fine. And then I've been training up at Caesar Gracie's with Sean Nakamura, Caesar, and Guga. So I've been going up there, working with black belts. Working on the jiu-jitsu armbar defense and just I've always done jiu-jitsu and I love jiu-jitsu, so I really don't feel like she's going to be a threat there. Not like her last opponents. So I think she's going to try to go to the ground, but once she sees how it's not safe there, I think this fight could be standing or the ground. But yeah, I'm ready wherever it goes. It's going to be a fun fight.
Yeah, you watch your previous fights, you could go anywhere. But would you rather stand and show the boxing more?
Yeah, I would, but this girl's crazy, So I think it's gonna go everywhere, and especially the first round, like she comes out like a bat out of hell, 100%, and then I think she fades the second and third round. So I think the deeper it goes, the deeper she's gonna be, and I'm gonna be able to take over, really wherever it goes. I would love to stand and box with her. She's been dropped by a few people, so. That's why I don't think it's going to be standing, to be honest.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned the PI earlier and taking the tests, and there's other tests that you take as a fighter. Did you take those tests, and what were the results like?
Uh, so like the ones where they compare you to the other athletes,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
those.
yeah, yeah.
So basically, they do like a strength and conditioning thing. They check your cardio and like the anaerobic and aerobic, and everything I had was pretty much like even with everybody else in the weight class. A couple things were above, and then basically they tell you, hey, you got to work on this, do this, and then that's kind of what I've been doing. So
Okay,
yeah, I'm excited to go test again and see what areas I've improved upon.
for sure. And anything surprising from the results?
Just the thyroid problem.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
so
that's right.
bad.
Yeah,
It was kind of
yeah.
like
I'm
finally
glad.
we got
Yeah,
some answers.
yeah, definitely, definitely. It's great that you got it before you it was too late, to be honest
Yeah,
with you. You know what I mean? It was too late
yeah,
because sometimes fighters they're so tough, they're so stubborn that they don't want to go and see doctors, stuff like
yeah,
that, and it kind of it could be a big burden on it. I saw that you have a sibling that also trains and fights. How is
yeah,
it having a sibling, having someone there that you can just pick up and train with
yeah.
anytime?
No, it's nice. Yeah, she fights for Invicta. She's been training. She's been a little injured here and there, so it's been she hasn't been she came in towards the end. She hasn't been a part of it the whole time, but yeah, I'm excited for her, and I hope Invicta can get her another fight. I mean, there's a bunch of matchups for her too there. We've just been waiting, to find her a fight.
Caesar Gracie, how did you end up training with that team?
Um, so back in 2016, maybe 15, 14, I started training at Nick and Nate's here in Stockton, and then I got introduced to Caesar, and I trained there, and I got my purple belt from Caesar, and I trained with Victor Galden, who's under Caesar, and he's been with Nick and Nate for over 20 years, so it kind of like went full circle.
So you started with Nick and Nate, not Caesar Gracie. All
Right.
right.
Yeah.
How was it like first meeting though? You see them on TV, you hear about them, and you know their reputation of being very tight knit. What was the first meetings with them like?
Um, I just went in. Nick wasn't really around that much in the beginning, so I went in. I just felt like one of the guys, and I trained. And it wasn't like high pressure, and I feel like at the time Nathan hadn't like skyrocketed to stardom at that point. So it was still kind of, we could go to the gym. There wasn't hundreds of people trying to come in and take pictures and stuff like that. So it was like a lot of classes. I did jiu-jitsu 3 times a day there. So it was like down to earth and fine. Yeah.
But now it's nuts. Like there's people waiting outside.
Yeah, I mean, you get people on the mats. Like when I was there was 10, 15 people that had never trained before. They're coming in, just all brand new people all the time. And the mats were so full, you could barely train because it's just crazy. People go crazy. So, yeah.
It's your UFC debut, so you're probably expecting a lot of yourself. What type of performance are you expecting from yourself?
I'm expecting a dominant performance. This card isn't super stacked, so I feel like there's a really big opportunity, especially in this fight, for the big bonus. Because she takes a beating, she tries to give a beating, she gets dropped. So I think this fight is the makings of a fight of the night or performance of the night, and I'm actually really happy about this fight. I'm excited.
Yeah, the investment that you put into this camp, driving, training different locations, that's the best result, right? Is to get a finish and to get a bonus in your first UFC fight.
Yeah, that's what I've been hoping for. So I've been training my ass off.
Yeah, definitely. October 1st, UFC Fight Night in Las Vegas. Chelsea, appreciate the time and all the best in your debut.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.